शानदार शनिवार लखनऊ सुपर जायंट्स और राजस्थान फैंस के लिए congratulations Sanjay Duve for almost making one foot in the playoff for Lucknow Super Giants. आते हैं आपका रिएक्शन लेने के लिए, पर उसके पहले मेरे को ये बताइए कि कितने सालों बाद इतना बोरिंग वीकेंड्स हो रहा है आईपीएल गेम्स में. टोटली वन साइडेड गेम. आई एम नॉट टेकिंग एनी क्रेडिट अवे फ्रॉम योर टीम्स और राजस्थान रॉयल्स, but there is no spice anymore on IPL. Is that fair to say?
एब्सोल्युटली आई थिंक टेबल में काफी गहमा गहमी है. देयर इज लॉट ऑफ फाइट हैपनिंग, काफी क्लोज लग रहा है, बट द मैचेस आर बीइंग pretty one sided for IPL's quality. I mean इससे क्लोज होना चाहिए. आज का तो जो सैटरडे नाइट, इमेजिन इतना व्यूअरशिप हो सकता है पोटेंशियली. लास्ट ओवर वगैरह में जाए तो आधे ओवर्स में खत्म होना मैच काफी काफी डिसअपॉइंटिंग. केकेआर के लिए तो बहुत ज्यादा डिसअपॉइंटिंग, बिकॉज उनका प्रीटी मच ये कैंपेन अब यहाँ खत्म हो जाएगा. बट हाँ, थोड़ा क्लोज गेम हो, थोड़ा मजा आए. जैसे कल गुजरात मुंबई का मैच उतना जैसे हाई प्रोफाइल नहीं था इफेक्टिवली कंसिडरिंग वेयर दे आर ऑन द टेबल, बट काफी मजा आया देखने में लोगों को. तो आज का तो नहीं मजा है बिल्कुल.
ठीक है, शुरुआत करते हैं सेकंड गेम से, उसके बाद फर्स्ट गेम में जाएंगे एंड देन वी विल आल्सो टॉक अबाउट द बिल्ड अप फॉर टुमारो. विशाल पता नहीं कैलकुलेटर ढूंढ रहे कहीं कल के लिए. पहले पहले ये गेम का बात कर दे. लखनऊ सुपर जायंट्स बैटेड फर्स्ट. संजय started extremely well, 10 per over in the power play, and then lost their way in between, and then that late rush between Stoinis and Holder got to a respectable 176, which is I thought was fantastic score. And then guess what? Kolkata Knight Rider pulled a Royal Challengers Bangalore and 100 and oh sorry Vishak. Kolkata Knight Riders 101 all out. Welcome Vishak. How are you feeling today? And Sanjay, congratulations. So चलिए बात करते हैं. Lucknow Super Giants on a serious note. Minus KL Rahul. Yesterday, Vishak, I think we spoke about it in our post-match key. If no Rahul, our Lucknow Super Giants weak, but today they proved us wrong.
तो मैं शुरू करता हूँ. तो केएल राहुल का 2 गोल्डन डक हुए पहली बॉल में आउट हुए. आज तो बिना बॉल फेस किए वो आउट हो गए, तो आज डायमंड डक हो गया उनका. तो बट पहला ओवर दो या एक ही रन आया था. उसके बाद जो काउंटर अटैक किया क्विंटन डिकॉक ने, जैसे उनको गुस्सा आ गया कि यार मैंने कैसे मेरे कैप्टन को आउट करवा दिया, और जो मार पड़ी है उनके बॉलर्स को. फर्स्ट 6 ओवर 66 रन, उसमें से एक किसी का ओवर गया 20 रन को. मुझे लगता है कि ये पिच में आई थिंक 100-150 का ही पिच था, बिकॉज उसके बाद कोई बैटिंग में रन ही नहीं बना पाया. हुडा भी जो रन बनाए काफी उन्होंने रिस्क ले लेके बनाया. एंड देन आई थिंक इन दी एंड कृणाल पांड्या भी एक रन बना रहे थे, और जो एंड में एक ओवर में 5 छक्के जो गए शिवम मावी के, जो 6 भी हो सकते थे अगर स्टॉइनस आउट नहीं होते. तो आई थिंक दैट वाज द गेम चेंजर. 170 तो अगर बहुत अच्छा बैटिंग करते तभी मुझे लगता है डिफिकल्ट होता, बिकॉज लखनऊ की बॉलिंग, जो उनके 3 फास्ट बॉलर्स हैं, मोहसिन खान, आवेश खान, चमीरा, इनके आगे बहुत अच्छा आपका दिन हो और ये लोग खराब बॉलिंग करें तभी आप रन बना पाएंगे मुझे लगता है. तो आई थिंक ओवरऑल थोड़ा ज्यादा रन दे दिया इन्होंने 20-25, और बैटिंग तो बहुत ही खराब की इन्होंने.
And Vishak, KKR captain Shreyas Iyer says on post-match that KKR completely outplayed. He should say every team is outplaying us.
Yeah, but I think today, I think they did well. I think when Lucknow batted, it was a game of almost 3 halves to me. It was like first 6 overs, they smashed the power play, got around 6 to 6. Until the 18th over, they just scraped through. And then those last 2 overs, 45 runs. So I think that those last 2 overs actually changed the momentum. And I think KKR did well in the initial 18 overs. Had they restricted them to around 150 or 155, and I think they would have got a chance. And other big blunders captains are making in Pune. Whatever, I forget other venues in Pune. If you win the toss, you have to bat first, because one boundary. Because if you get a good decent score of 160, 170 batting first, one boundary is longer, and you can easily put pressure on bowling to that longer side and having the fielders there. That is what every team is doing, and still the captains are doing the same mistake of winning the toss and chasing. I don't know. We sitting here are able to see that. I'm not sure, having all the analysts there, why are they not seeing that and rectifying that?
और
I think that
इसमें
is the first thing you need to see. Being in Pune and in the morning games, you need to bat first. Today, I know the chasing team won in the morning game, but still, in these two games, you have to bat first. That is a simple rule.
Just to add, I think in Pune, from what we've seen and heard from the commentators, there's hardly any dew. So that is the other reason why you should bat first, because pretty much all the games, apart from one or two, LSG has won batting first. That suits their, very good pace attack, and they know this, they've defended 150, 140-ish, everything they've defended. So once they got 170 odd, I think it was always going to be difficult for a completely out of form KKR. And Shivam Mavi unfortunately now has a dubious record of um, the three most expensive overs by KKR. They've all been bowled by Shivam Mavi. So poor guy, but Stoinis
28,
was good.
29, and 30.
Yeah, yeah. आज तो काफी काफी उनको मार पड़ गई.
Ashto, terrible bowling, Vishak. That Stoinis wicket was also in the slot. It was unlucky of Stoinis. Otherwise, it was six sixes away.
Actually, he hit it flat. Either just an inch here and there. That was a six. Unfortunately, it went straight to the fielder because the fielder was either 1 inch here or there. He had no chance to move. It was actually a kind of a rocket, but went
Absolutely.
straight to the fielder, kind of. So it was just he was just fortunate with that ball. Otherwise, it was shambolic bowling. I think in the 3 overs, and he is this kind of and like I somehow feel his action is somewhat weird. Usually, your head has to be straight when you actually bowl, and his head actually goes tilted like this, and he's not seeing. So I think he does not see where the batsman is properly or where he is landing the ball. So that is a major problem. Your head position has to be just like how we talk about the head position for the batters, right? For bowlers also, it's pretty important. And I think he seriously has to improve on the technique
There
and
is
his
one,
action.
there is one bowler in KKR we should talk about. He was retained by KKR and has been consistently doing well entire 11 games. Sunil Narayan, 4 overs, 20 runs, 1 wicket, 12 dot balls in 24 balls he's bowling. How good a player is Sunil Narayan turning out to be? I mean, word on him, Sanjay?
He's phenomenal. Obviously, he does play international cricket now, and year on year you see him come up even with the changed bowling action. Teams have almost given up that they'll be able to score too many runs against him, so he's going pretty much what teams are doing against Rashid Khan. Teams just play him out. That's what LSG were also trying to do. They did not try to score him at all in the last, I think, 16th or 17th over. They just blocked and blocked and blocked because they knew there would be one over here and there. And I think in their mind, they knew that 150 probably would be a par score. But Sunil Narayan, even when he was smashing those sixes in the end, he looks phenomenal. Maybe he has to go back opening rather than having someone else, you know, I don't know. Baba Indrajit is there. He's a wicket keeper. But I'd open with Sunil Narayan. Go
And
see what
Vishak,
happens.
there was a interview I think Rashid Khan gave, and he focused the same point what Sanjay just mentioned, that his primary focus is to contain runs and the wickets will follow. And Sunil Narayan is falling in the same category. Granted that the teams want to play him out, but that's the biggest mistake they are doing. If you look at Rashid Khan's first part of IPL this season, teams went after him, so the wickets were less. And then in the past 2, 3 games, Rashid Khan they tried to play him out, including Sunrisers, and we have seen the differences. So, your thoughts on Sunil Narayan? Should he open, Vishal?
Definitely, I think I spoke about it yesterday also. He has to open the batting because they have dropped Venki Iyer now, and Sunil Narayan has done best in his batting when he opens. When he opens actually, and yeah, he can. What they I am not sure what they are trying to do with him at number 8. And one more thing which I want to talk about KKR is any team which has used Russell the worst, it should be KKR. Like they always send him at impossible positions and ask him to do the impossible. He might click 1 or 2 games. He is a match winner for you, and you have to play him the right way. Mostly, what they do is like give him situations like 3 overs 50, or your top order fails, and ask him to kind of play 13 overs and score at a run rate of around 13. This is not something you give your match winner kind of.
Yeah,
So. I think
But
they
isn't that,
always use him at impossible positions.
can I counter that, Vishak? Isn't that Russell's role? Isn't that middle order finisher role? He's never going to sustain a 10 over innings.
Yeah, I think
Yes,
when
a finisher. He is a finisher. But see how Mumbai used to use Pollard in the previous seasons, and if you see how these guys have used Russell, there's a difference in that, right? They always land up in impossible positions and ask Russell to do it. Yeah, 3 overs 30 or 40 is an ideal thing for a finisher. You don't gives him always like 3 overs 50. That's what KKR do, or put him in a situation where like in 6 overs 4 wickets fall, and he is not someone who can shepherd the innings for the 14 overs, right? Definitely, we all agree that. So either give him the free license if you want to send him early. It's like send him and give him the free license when there are wickets in hand, or make sure your top order gives him a perfect platform to launch, like, and not actually put him in impossible situations.
Yeah, the only thing is, I think when he was going hammer and tongs, Suman message saying that, once you get a good quality bowler, he'll get out. And that's exactly what happened. And Rahul did not wait for trying to get his fifth or sixth bowler get done with. He straight away brought back Mohsin Khan and then Chamira, and then he got Avesh Khan. And eventually Avesh Khan got him out, and that was the game done and dusted. I want to talk about Mohsin Khan because I think he's
Yeah.
phenomenal. Like, I I think he's the find of the tournament for someone who wasn't part of the starting 11. He's only been bought for 20 lakhs. LSG were banking heavily on Mark Wood to be their pace attack leader. Then they were banking on, okay, let's say Chamira and then Avesh Khan are going to be it because they invested a lot of money in Avesh Khan. Avesh Khan gets injured, Mohsin Khan comes in, and then he is the leading bowler for LSG because he's bowling those tough overs. He's hardly going for any runs and he's got decent pace. So I'm super, super happy for the Khan brothers, I would want to say. They are looking deadly. So yeah, should be interesting.
Yeah. And question coming in from Anirudh, KKR, Lucknow, both teams filled with all-rounders. Why it work for Lucknow, not for KKR? It's a great question, Vishak.
It's just that the utilization of the players, how you utilize your players, and how you kind of see the KK Lucknow. If you see, they're playing their players who are suited in the right positions, like Deepak Huda at three, and they're actually playing the players in the right position and giving them proper roles. I don't think that role clarity and playing players at the proper roles is not happening with KKR. And I think even with KKR, another thing is their bowling is not clicking. They banked heavily on Pat Cummins in the initial part, paid him so much and bought him, and he did not click. So the
Absolutely.
and again they are now backing on their Indian seamers, and I think Umesh Yadav started well and then kind of faded off. Shivam Mavi, like no comments on him, like we already spoke about him already. So I think their bowling is actually failing, and they actually banked a lot on their two spinners, and one of them has failed miserably and has been dropped as well, Varun Chakrabarti, and only Sunil Narayan is doing the job. So they have only one spinner, and now they are trying Anukul Roy to see how he goes about. And he has just 2 games, and constant chopping and changing because your retained players are not doing well. I think that has become a major problem for KKR.
And Anirudh, Deepak Huda is also answering your question on the post match. He says, credit to Gautam Gambhir for grooming youngsters and providing that environment. I feel there is merit to that compliment because Gambhir is a master strategist. We all know when he was playing also how he used to time the chase. We saw the 2011 World Cup final. So, thoughts on his contributions behind the scenes, Sanjay?
I think it's massive. I think obviously, as we've talked pre the IPL starting, Gambhir, Sanjeev Goenka, all are no nonsense guys. You hardly get a reaction from Gambhir, and he's constantly in that dugout, and the one camera is constantly on him. But every time there's a timeout, he would come in, give his inputs. But it's still, I think, KL Rahul's team. So I would give credit to Gambhir, but I think also credit to KL Rahul for you don't feel like there's too much influence of Gambhir coming in on the field. So he's doing all the backward. Ayush Badoni is a classic case where he's come out of nowhere from Delhi, one of the academy. I think it's Sonnet Academy. There's another guy called Mayank Yadav in the squad, which I hear is very good. Mohsin Khan, no one knew of, and Mohsin Khan and Ayush Badoni both are playing. Both are regular in their 11. So credit to Gambhir, credit to the team management for getting a team right. I think that all-rounders question The all-rounders are only good if you've got top three bowlers sorted, at least three or four, then these guys can do a supporting role. If you've got Shivam Mavi who's struggling, if you've got Anukul Roy who can't regularly bowl maybe in the power play or is not really effective, then Harshit Rana who's a newbie, then all these all-rounders not going to make much use. Whereas LSG today, they did not have to use Krunal Pandya. They did not have to use Stoinis. So it's just when you have too many choices or too many good choices, the captains also look better. When you got less choices, you can have all the all-rounders, not going to make much difference.
And from a weakness point of view of Lucknow, they defended last six totals, by the way. So I do feel that bowling is a strong suit. And if you want to win tournament, that's where your point should go. But a question of Anirudh, Sanjay, sticking to you.
Yep.
One problem I see, I wouldn't call this as a weakness, but they need to figure this out, is the batting order. They chop and change quite a lot. I think that's what's getting them into the trouble of not having that power play consolidation.
Yes, I think they are lacking one batter shot, one proper Indian batter shot, and this is why they were banking on Manish Pandey. They gave him some opportunities, and then he did not click. So I think depending upon how their top order is going, now they've given that mantle to Deepak Huda. Every time, even if there's an early wicket or late wicket, Deepak Huda is the guy who comes in and just keeps going at from one end. But they've still not figured out how to utilize Jason Holder and Stoinis. But I personally think the biggest weakness is their fielding. They drop 2 or 3 catches every game. So I think that's probably their biggest weakness. And one injury here and there to one of their players is going to cause them. Today was, I think, the best game from their perspective because Rahul did not click. They did not have to use Krunal Pandya, who's generally been very good with the ball, and they got a decent total, and they still ended up winning by a huge margin. So I think they've almost peaked at this point, but if they can field slightly better, I think that'll be good. And I think Bishnoi is another weak point in my opinion. He's only bowled well in one game, I think against Delhi. Otherwise, he's been a bit hot and cold. So I think those are the two areas. But otherwise, the team looks settled. But
One
we'll get
point,
to
Subal.
that.
One point I want to add. It's like we already spoke about this. It's like in all the matches which Lucknow has done well, either Rahul or Quinton de Kock has performed. Even today, if Rahul failed, Quinton de Kock performed, gave the counter attack that gave a good start. If except in one game, I think the first game where they were around 20 odd for four, they have always got one of their openers to bat longer. So it'll be like I want to see like if both of their openers fall early in the power play, it'll be interesting to see how their middle order copes up because their middle order, apart from Deepak Huda, hasn't performed in crunch situations. And
Yeah,
Stoinis has been used as a finisher mostly. So if they get Stoinis early, how can he bat through like a lot of overs? So these are the
yeah,
kind of things which needs to be checked. These are kind of things I think the middle order is slightly weak. And Badonia, the way he started, he doesn't look the same now. So he seems to be struggling a little bit. And I think when they started, I think they had batting still eight. I think now they have included an extra bowler and Holder is I think is little too high at number seven. He could be an ideal number eight, but Holder at number seven is little too high. As Sanjay already pointed out, they lack that one Indian batter. So that could be one thing. And yeah, if the middle order gets exposed early, that would be interesting. Like how they cope up. That could be the weakness according to me.
yeah. That happened in the first game, and unless they are tested, you don't know what will happen. So I went to that game. They were like 30 odd for four. I'm like, which team am I supporting? And then Ayush Badoni and Huda both got 50s. So that was the only occasion where they had cluster of wickets at the top. But otherwise, it's been decent start by the top order, and you get runs here and there. But yeah, KKR is definitely out of the playoffs. I don't see any mathematical combination. Unless it's going to snow in India, in Mumbai or somewhere, something like that happening, which is possible. So
Yeah,
I think the bottom three teams are out because the max Mumbai can get to is 12 and the other two teams can get to is 14. So I think there's only
Chennai,
slight
Chennai,
mathematical chances.
Chennai can
Huh?
get 16. No,
No, Chennai can get 14 only.
14 only. Okay, okay, yeah, yeah,
So the bottom three teams are almost kind of out now. So unless there's mild chances like some miracle happens, the fourth spot, like the team ends with 14 points and these guys have a better run rate. I think the way these teams have lost, that doesn't look likely. Kind of.
Yeah, Anirudh is anxious like me. We will definitely do the SRH and RCB match tomorrow. Don't worry about it. But before we get there, we do want to spend some time talking about Rajasthan Royals' performance in the earlier game. I've dedicated this jersey to R. Ashwin, who is the greatest cricketer in the Milky Way galaxy ever produced. So let's talk about that. How good is Rajasthan Royals' chances of playoffs? And Sanju Samson throwing his wicket away again. And also, is there a weakness in Rajasthan Royals walking into the playoffs?
I think let's talk about their weakness. I think they have weakness in their middle order potentially. If they lose again, I think any team whose top order is clicking, they will have a weakness in the middle order because it's not been tested. So that's one weakness if Butler doesn't go. Although very happy for Yashasvi Jaiswal because Devdutt Padikkal did not grab his chances and he could have almost costed the game for Rajasthan today. So I think maybe middle order, but I think their biggest weakness is this fifth bowling option. If one bowler is going for runs, they haven't got another bowler to even fill in any extra over. They tried 1 or 2 overs with Daryl Mitchell every now and then, but yeah, I think that extra bowling option is their issue because even today when I think who was the bowler? Kuldeep Sen was going for runs. It wasn't that Sanju Samson had any other option to even fill in for that extra over and then maybe have one less over from another bowler. But I think that's their potential weakness. But if if uh, if Yuzi Chahal, who's their biggest strength, and Josh Butler have a decent game, they'll surpass anyone.
You're
You're
on
on mute.
mute.
It's not that Sanju Samson was chasing like a 14 per over. He had a great start. And what frustrates his wicket throwing is not because Rajasthan Royals will lose. It's because what is at stake. If you look at the next 8 to 12 months, he has such a golden opportunity to squeeze into the India squad, and he's doing it to himself, Vishak.
Yes, definitely. This is not the first time he's doing this also. He always looks good when he is batting. And you see, today is the day he's going to score big. And he plays that kind of a shot. He gets to around 30, 40, keeps looking good and gets out. This has been the problem with him. And I think he is doing no good to himself by doing this because being such a great talent, you actually you have to do justice to your talent. Having just the talent does not help. I think you don't get all the players don't get that same backing as Rohit Sharma got in the India got just because of the talent he had. Nowadays, it's like there are a lot of options also in the there are a lot of younger players who are coming up, and if one player fails, there are other options as well. So I think you just when you have your chances, you just have to grab it with both hands and perform. And that is one thing which has always been frustrating about Sanju Samson for me.
Yeah.
Like the way he, yeah, yes, sir.
No, sorry. I was just saying that our usual comment engagement guy, Andy Handy, makes another good point, which I think Vishak Shivam covered yesterday, that RR have the death bowling problem.
One more problem, I think. Trent Bolt. That's right from last season. If you see, he is not picking up wickets right at the top. That is a major concern. Even for Mumbai in the last season, he did not do it. In 2020, when Mumbai won, he used to pick a lot of power play wickets. In 2021, he failed to do that. And in 2022, the same thing is happening. He is not picking up wickets up top, and that has become I think that is one concern. Another thing, definitely death bowling. Prasidh Krishna, yeah, because Bolt is not bowling well. I think they are forced to use him early. They're finishing him early on, and they're going to Prasidh Krishna and Kuldeep Singh. And Prasidh Krishna usually is someone who's a hit the deck kind of a bowler. And such bowlers, when it is a very good batting track, can be hit easily. And Kuldeep Singh is still raw, so I wouldn't talk too much about him. But definitely, yeah, death bowling is definitely a concern for them. Yeah, mainly Bolt's form, I would say. But middle order, I wouldn't be too concerned about them because I think they have Hetmeyer, who is actually doing pretty well. And yeah, maybe yeah, even sometimes if they need, they're promoting your favorite player, Ravi Ashwin, who's the greatest player in the galaxy, and getting some runs out of him. So I think, but if Butler and if their openers fail, and Sanju Samson has to play a long innings, and if he throws his wickets like that, it could become a concern in major game, in very important games, kind of.
Absolutely, absolutely. And let's make Shandar Shaniwar for Sanjay Dubey, who during the auctions never would have dreamt will see his team number one on points table. Sanjay, be honest.
Yeah, no, absolutely thrilled. I mean, not just. Although I must say, LSG, based on the team they had, I think they had a fair chance of making it to the top four. So I'm very happy to see them at the top. Very surprised to obviously see Gujarat along with them because surely no one gave them a prayer to be in the top four at this stage of the tournament. And very surprising to see CSK and MI. I want to spend 1 minute on Punjab Kings because their campaign is also pretty much. I think they'll have to win everything now again, and they'll have to assume or hope that all the other results go in their favor. I think it's the problem is in their management because I just look at one instance today, and that just tells me what they think. So you have 5 overs left. You send in Jitesh Sharma. Yes, Jitesh Sharma ended up scoring more runs and whatnot. You have a multi-million-dollar investment in Liam Livingston. You've seen what he's done against Shami
One second.
in the
One
last over.
second.
And,
One second,
and,
Sanjay. One
and
second,
some of the
Sanjay.
spinner
What
bowling,
happened
I
is
get all that.
actually no. One second. Actually, Livingston. What happened is in between one of the overs, he went for a restroom break. I think that's the reason. Actually, Jitesh Sharma and they showed him running towards the pavilion. So that could be the reason why Jitesh Sharma was promoted ahead of Livingston.
But he didn't disappoint though. Jitesh Sharma did an
Yeah, he did perform.
job.
Yeah,
Was it?
he did
So
perform.
1 over loo break and then you are not batting for 16 overs, which I don't know.
No, no, no. It was in that 15th over he actually went. So in that over, actually the wicket
Someone
fell.
got out. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and the second wicket also when it fell, right when Bairstow got out, they purposefully took the timeout so that they will get time to get Livingston back.
Okay, okay. No, I didn't pay that attention. But anyway, so much shopping and changing. When things were going well, they dropped Rajapaksa. Then they got Johnny Bairstow to bat in the middle order. Then they started losing. They bought back Rajapaksa. He started scoring some runs. They had a trial with Odin Smith. That didn't work out. And now they've got Mike Agarwal to bat in the middle order, which I don't know what that means. He's a decent player of spin bowling, but yeah, I think the whole combination, I think it's just not clicking for them because I did think that this time they will, really test the other teams and definitely make it to the top four. Yeah, I think it would have been an ideal result for all the other teams who are trying to get that top four slot that Punjab Kings win today, but that did not happen. So it looks extremely difficult for them.
Yeah. So celebrate while it lasts, Sanjay, and we should switch to Sunrisers Sunday tomorrow, Vishal. What is going to happen in the game one? Everybody wants to know. Andy Handy is excited, Anirudh is excited, Ajay PK probably is worried. So who will win between Sunrisers and RCB in the first game tomorrow, Vishal?
I would say Sunrisers have a slightly upper hand
Uh,
because of the previous
don't
game.
say that. Hmm.
Because they got RCB out. Because of that, I think they would have a slightly upper hand. But I think since and other one negative is like they have come. Another thing is they are SRS have lost 3 games in a row, so they would be eager to make a comeback. And one more loss could for both the teams right at this point of time could make them desperate, kind of. So I think it is a very crucial game, and both the teams would want to win and kind of consolidate their position. And whoever wins will remain at the number 4 position. So it will, yeah. If SRH wins, they'll come to the number 4, and RCB, if they win, they'll stay at the number 4 position. So I think it will be crucial for both the teams to make sure that at least they stay in the top 4. And the whoever loses is going to have a tough time.
Okay. And Sanjay, if you were in SRH camp, say you're Tom Mori, two questions for you. Will you make changes to playing 11? If you're not making changes or making changes to playing 11, will you make the change in batting order of bringing Kane Williamson down and Tripathi up?
I would have done it from the start. It's almost a case of what's the best position for Kane Williamson rather than what's the best position for what's the best combination for the team. So that's the reason why they're going with it. I think the problem is that they've got obviously a lot of fast bowlers and they haven't got a decent spin option. I mean, obviously Shreyas Gopal did play the previous game, but yeah, I think their top order has to has to fire. Otherwise, they will struggle. Is what I'm thinking. And Washington Sundar not giving them what they had hoped for doesn't help. Abdul Samad is someone they were banking heavily on, so that finishing touch. Although Shashank Singh did a reasonable job. I think their batting order is fine considering you have Aiden Markram and Nicholas Puran coming in. I think they have to manage the bowlers slightly better. Again, for the life of me, I just get so annoyed with captains not using six bowling option. You have a guy who's bowling for, like with Marco Jansen, poor guy got dropped, but before he bowled that last over, he had already went for like 3 over 34 runs. You are not using another option, so for you to be allowing for another option to be used at the death. Similar with I think Umran Malik the other day, he's going for a lot of runs, but you have no other bowling option to try, or you're not using them at all. So what's the point? But yeah, I think all these captains, most of them are fine with allowing only five bowlers in the park, which is not helping one the player, because Abhishek Sharma potentially could be an all-rounder. Deepak Huda could be an all-rounder. Although Deepak Huda is not required at all. They've got other better options. So I do think that RCB's got a better chance considering they've got people coming back into form, maybe. Although our Kohli's form is a big concern. Either he gets out or he scores quickly is what I'm hoping, because the longer he bats, run a ball is not helping anyone. Last match they had to thank Lomro and Dinesh Karthik to get them decent score. Otherwise, they would have struggled to win that game as well. So I'm hoping the game is a really good one, and who knows who will win.
Yeah. And Andy, Shreyas Gopal, I think, will retain his place. One game they will not drop, knowing Tom Moody. Shashank Singh might make way, probably for Abdul Samad, or Vishak's shaking his head. So talk to me, Vishak.
He has done pretty well, Shashank Singh, Suman. He is the one who gave you in that one over around 25 runs in one of the games.
They still
And
lost.
he's showing that urgency. He's coming late in the order and showing that urgency. He's been actually finishing up games, scoring those quick runs. I think dropping him would be really harsh. If there's one change I would make. If Natarajan is fit, I would say two changes. If Natarajan is fit, get him back for Karthik Tyagi. And other changes, bring back Marco Jansen for
Abbott.
Abbott.
I would
Because
agree with Abbott replacement, because I would rather live with Marco Jansen, who I know can get 3 wickets in an over, as opposed to Sean Norbert, who hasn't been tested at all. But again, time will tell. From an RCB point of view, Vishak, while we are on team changes, will you make any tinkering on the playing 11 for RCB tomorrow?
no, I would go with the same 11. Just may give confidence to the team, saying like we have won the previous game. You guys have done well. Just a few improvements here and there. It's like the top order has to click. That is one thing which we need to see. And tell Maxwell that you don't have to hit every ball. If he is someone who can stay, can just turn the game around. So that kind of thing has to be put into his mind, saying that you don't have to hit every ball. Take around 10 balls to settle, and then he'll be dangerous. So that is one thing which has to be told to him clearly. And I think if these things are taken care of, we should be good for tomorrow.
Absolutely. And then switching to the second game, Sanjay, Chennai Super Kings versus Delhi Capitals. It's crucial for Delhi Capitals more than CSK. And I guess after second game, tomorrow the top four will become much more clearer, Sanjay.
Yes. In fact, I think of all the three teams, even now, I personally think Delhi's got the best chance considering their net run rate. RCB has to win all three. I don't think they have any other option. Sunrisers, you may argue that because they played one game less, they could potentially afford to lose one game. But I would be amazed if the team who loses tomorrow, goes ahead. If Delhi wins, if Delhi loses, I think it makes it slightly better or easier for both SRH and RCB. I think they might be able to go through with even a loss tomorrow. But if Delhi wins, I think it'll be very difficult for the losing team to progress. But because it depends upon their schedule as well, whom they are playing, and they've only got a handful of games. So it'll be a very interesting last stretch. Hopefully, it'll go the distance. We'll know on the final day who'll make it to the playoffs. But tomorrow's game is absolutely huge for both SRH and RCB. Suman, what are you expecting tomorrow? Are you expecting any changes in RCB, SRH, and who do you think is going to win?
RCB, like I agree with Vishak, they should not touch the playing 11. Probably the batting order, if worse come, but I don't think they should touch. From SRH playing 11, again depends on Natarajan being fit. Probably that's what will drive a change. And I know Shashank Singh did well, but maybe Abdul Samad can be squeezed in. It'll solidify the batting order in the middle order, but again, we all know where the loyalties are. I'm Sunrisers tomorrow. Sanjay and Vishak are RCB. We will see what happens. From Delhi Capital's point of view, one other question I had is: do they have the team to go all the way through? So, assuming they get to playoff, do you think they have a strong chance of getting to the finals and winning the cup, Sanjay?
I think I would say yes, because although Prithvi Shaw is the captain, he's maybe not necessarily calling all the shots. I think Ricky Ponting is quite a big influence, and even David Warner is part of the leadership group. So he that probably keeps him sane. Maybe I was amazed that they dropped Prithvi Shaw at the top
I
because
guess he
they
was
were
unfit, Vishak.
he unfit. Vishal? He was dropped, I think, right? Prithvi Shaw.
I was told he is unfit, but
Yeah,
not sure.
yeah, because he got out for the umpteenth time with that, and they got Ripple Patel. They made wholesale changes which clicked for them, and Nokia, I think, absolutely key for them that Nokia clicks. Khalil Ahmed is in the top 3 or 4 wicket takers. They've got fantastic spinning option in Kuldeep Yadav. The only weak link I think is maybe Lalit Yadav. I don't know whether they've got any other replacements for him, but Warner, Mitch Marsh, and Robin Powell. If one or even two of these guys click, then I think the other team is pretty much done because they've got so much firepower. So they can definitely go the distance.
The only problem I think with DC has been their inconsistency. They're not able to string 2 or 3 wins together. One game they win, they play fantastic and they win, and the next game they look the shadow of themselves. So that's how it has been for them. So it's like they mainly inconsistency. It's like win one, lose one. That's how the season has been kind of. So if they manage to string around 2 to 3 wins together, I think it would make it interesting. So going by the trend, if the trend continues, they should actually lose tomorrow. But it'll be interesting to see how they actually kind of cope if they can string up consistent wins.
Yeah. And Andy, Vishak already covered if Nattu is fit, Kartik Tyagi should make way for him. So that's how it works. And Puran, I wouldn't touch his batting order. Let him be. He's contributing whatever shape and form he can. So predictions for the second game, Vishak, Chennai or Delhi?
I think I feel Chennai because mainly because of the inconsistencies of Delhi.
Delhi
Okay.
is going to crash Chennai. I'm like so
I'll tell
confident
you,
that
Devon Conway is going to smash tomorrow, and look out for Devon Conway for throughout the rest of the series. He's going to be the next kind of superstar.
Sanjay is not going to be convinced, Vishak, about this.
this is that the DY Patil Kuldeep Yadav is going to do really well. I think Delhi is going to steamroll Chennai, and I think the first game should be very good. And I'm hoping RCB wins.
A super over will be great. And I personally feel Sunrisers will win and will disappoint every RCBN I know personally. And on the second game, I also have a feeling that Chennai Super Kings will come up trumps. But let's hope it's a close Sunday game. We'll be back again tomorrow. Andy and Anirudh, while you guys are here, please click that like button. Tell your family, friends to follow us if you like our content, and we will aim to bring you live content and continue to bring live content. Sanjay, enjoy the top of the table cake over there, and Vishak, fingers crossed, sleep well and speak tomorrow, Vishak.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you will be sad, and I'll be happy tomorrow. Hopefully.
Time will tell. Time will tell. Have a